My name is Jim Parks. Originally was a rifleman with the Winnipeg Rifles on D-Day, and I ended up being a sergeant before the end of the war. But during that time, I participated in all the major battles that our unit was in, including Normandy, Caen, Carpiquet, Leopold Canal, Nijmegen, and carried on right through the coast, right to Holland and Germany, and finished up the war in Germany in 1945. Well, when I joined up, I'd been a cadet. Being a cadet was a big thing for the young kids at that time. You'd go to the armories and you'd get to shoot the rifle downstairs. A 22 caliber it was actually a Lee Enfield rifle with a 22 caliber barrel. I tried to learn the band. I had to wait my turn to learn to be a drummer. And in August '41, they put us on the SS Orbita, and they call it a banana boat because it used to be, its main course of work was in the Caribbean, carrying fruit and bananas and that sort of thing. They gave us a berth, Deck D, berth 76. Oh, I got a berth. You know what the berth was, 76? I go down to the mess deck, all these girders there, and there's number 76 here, 76 here. You hang your hammock on 76, that's your berth. Your hammock in between. At that time, they said it was the largest convoy, 105 ships. That was 16 days. And we got into Liverpool, and we woke up in the morning. But all around us, you can see the mast of ships have been sunk. The Germans had come over and bombed the harbor, and a lot of ships were sunk in the harbor. And we got onto onto the shore, and the big platform. They gave us our breakfast. And they gave us a mug of tea, and it's the first time we had an English mug. It's like a stein full of tea and a sandwich. And I thought, look at the English cup, a big mug of tea, but it was good tea. Britain was still under the threat of invasion, and we're close to the shore. They had us close to the shore of the coast of England, southern England. That's where all the Canadians were posted along the shores of England. Shoreham, Brighton, Hove, Bognor Regis, Eastbourne, all those places. And they had us on guard duty down there. Oh, we trained there from, let's see, up until 1944, before actually the invasion of France. We did all our training, including time in Scotland. And that was from September '41 to June 1944. So that's 2.5 years almost. When we actually landed on the beach, we never ever practiced it that way. We practiced different ways in Scotland, and they decided to forget any of those ways, just go in the way we were. So that's what we did. But June the 6th, well, what they did with us, I was the mortar carriers. So we were in a landing craft tank, and our time of landing was H-2. H hour is a time where our assault landing craft for the infantry to come in. -2 that we're supposed to land 2 minutes ahead of time, because on our landing craft tank we had 2 armored bulldozers with long ropes with hooks on them. They were to go off, and when they got on the shore, they had 2 sappers to hook on these hooks onto these obstacles in the water and pull them out, and then the landing craft would come in. That's the whole theory. It didn't work out that way because our boat was hit. The landing craft went in, and something got hung up on the obstacles in the water. A few of them hit the bombs, and not our particular brigade, but one of the other brigades. They had a few landing craft that they hit the explosion, blew the boat up with the men in it. But our boat, they dropped us off in water too deep, and our mortar carriers went into the water, and we ended up swimming. And on the way there, I was trying to swim into shore. I got sideswiped by one of the landing craft come in, and you get pushed into the water, and all I could see was stars because I swallowed a lot of water, right? And you see stars, and my foot touched the bottom, and it gave you a little adrenaline, popped up, and I still started to wing my way into the water, into the shore. The orders were that boat, every boat that went to shore in that first waves or so, to ram the beach so they wouldn't have to be in the water. But he didn't do that. we got dropped off too soon. Otherwise, we wouldn't have got wet. Would have had all our stuff. But everything we had was stuck on the boat. It was, well, on the beach itself, once we'd been there, and my brother was about, his crew was to come in just a few minutes after me. And they landed, and everybody landed in the same place they're supposed to land. Because he landed not too far away, and I saw his carrier. I could tell by the number, his number, I think he was M3 and M4, that was his carriers. And they got off, and then they come right over to where we were. And he spotted me. Our officer came in about 12 or 15 minutes later. He'd come in. A lot happens in a short period of time there, you know. We pull the guys out of the water and all that sort of stuff, because we wouldn't have done that unless the firing had stopped on the beach. And we had nowhere to go because we'd lost everything anyway. So we pulled the guys some of the guys were hitting the water, pulled them out of the water. And what we worried about, the tanks were going to come in, and tanks may run over. They wouldn't see the bodies, they were just running it over. So we pulled as many as we could, as far as we could. And once we started doing that, a few of the other guys did too that lost their stuff. But the main infantry companies, they had pushed forward already. They'd already pushed forward to the next objective. We're there, a couple of guys were stuck out in the water. The waves were going over them, and they were on these on obstacles in the water. And my brother Jack said, he asked one of them, he went over to one of the bulldozers who was doing his job. He said, "Are you able to go out in that water and help those guys in the water?" Because when you're out in the water and the waves are coming over, you're hanging on, you're not going to try and jump in and go into shore. So the bulldozer went out and he put the blade out. The guys grabbed onto the blade and he backed out, back into shore, and they got into shore that way. Yeah, that was a little bit of a rescue operation by the bulldozer. Yeah. We're moving forward to a village called Puteaux. That was on what they call the Oak Line. So the objective when the Canadian Army went through, they set an objective where to reach for the D-Day, and they'd draw a line on the map, and they'd call that a line, Oak Line. That was the Oak Line. So when we got to Puteaux, that was part of the Oak Line. And so we were all dug in there, and the wheat was around about 3 or 4 feet high. So in the afternoon of the 7th of June, the Germans had infiltrated. So by the evening come, they were infiltrated all around the companies. And between the 7th and 8th of June, we had 3 companies decimated because the Germans had infiltrated among, and a lot of the people got out, but we lost over 256 people, killed, wounded, or captured in that time. And the RSM, Austin, he told us there's a line of bushes, sniper fire. He sent us out to clear out the snipers. So what we did was we head stopped. He took a turn, I took a turn, and destroyed the bushes ahead of us to get rid of the snipers. Once you start firing, they'd move anyway. So he took a turn and I took a turn, and we made our ways back to the headquarters. That was the evening of the 7th, and it was all chalk. And if you ever try to dig in chalk, you can't dig in. They moved us about 3 times. In each place we tried to dig a trench with the chalk. We heard machine gun fire here and rifle fire here, and it was sort of spasmodic. And the Germans go over and drop bombs. They dropped what they call a butterfly bomb. It's a bomb, once it opens up, it's got 2 wings on it, it floats down like a butterfly. And where the Canadian Scottish were, somebody in all these fences, there's a stone fence all around, and built into the fence is the different buildings. There's one for the equipment, one for storage, the farmer's house, all built in. So I ended up being somebody was cooking some tea, so I had sat down a cup of tea. It's crazy, eh? But I just bring out the fact that after all that, having a cup of tea in the middle of a bloody battle and all that stuff, it sort of brought you back to your senses, you know. And First of all, you have to know certain things happen in the world, and Canada's contribution in order to react to that. This is what the soldiers, airmen, and Navy went in to do. And the only way you can do that is by try to depict an area like Juno Beach Center where they can tell the story. So when people can visit that center, they can see what it was all about. Because the center is very well laid out. It's got these theaters and it's got all the dioramas in there. And when you go in there, you know it's part of Canada, right? And it's too bad they couldn't be mobile and go around, but it's so nicely done. And if they tell me if you look from the top, there's a maple leaf resemblance from the top of the shape of the building. So that's quite the deal. Yeah, I'm glad they've got it there because there's thousands of people from Canada go there every year, organized and unorganized, and they get the story. And the Juno Beach Center is located right where, almost within 200 yards from where it landed itself. I was able to identify the place because you have the Sules River there, and within 300 yards of the Sules River in that area is where I landed, the B Company. So that's where I was. I think it is very important. That's the only place we have overseas to depict where everything is being done for Canadians anywhere in the world. Oh, just I would say it would be the sacrifices made by our generation. The benefits are for this generation. This is what I feel is, you don't think about that way at the time. You're just in there to do your job and to survive. That's what you're there for. Yeah.